Hello everyone and welcome back to the workshop. Before we get into the second episode of Kagamin's Customs, I just want to say thank you for the feedback and positive reception on the first episode. Your comments mean the world to me, and I can't stress enough how happy viewer engagement makes me. With that out of the way, allow me to introduce the topic of today's video. We'll be taking a look at my custom cardboard idealized Tidmouth Sheds for my series, Rolling Around On Sodor. In the Thomas & Friends TV show, Tidmouth Sheds are a 6-road, later 7-road, exposed roundhouse where the central characters, later called the Steam Team, live. In the show, the sheds have consistently been cream with green doors, the saturation of said colors increasing over time. There is also a turntable outside the shed in all TV series depictions. In the Railway series books, the shed started off as a 4-road dead-end shed, which was later expanded in 1955 to have an enclosed roundhouse and turntable behind it, as well as a carriage shed, which would later serve a dual purpose as Pip and Emma's shed. The sheds in the books are mainly occupied by the mainline engines, whoever the shunter is at the time, and occasionally visiting branch line engines. Prior to Sodor's main hub shifting from Vicarstown to Tidmouth Sheds did exist, but it was very shackish and primitive. It was built by a young Mr. Bertram Hatt to house his often mocked, but honest working coffee pot engines, which he also built to run the neighboring branch lines and tramways. Since the 1920s, Tidmouth Sheds has been the main engine sheds for the Northwestern Railway, located in the town of Tidmouth near the big station. It is also around this time the shed was expanded to a 5-road shed. In the 1950s, the shed was expanded once more to have an enclosed roundhouse behind it. The mainline goods and passenger engines stay here, as well as occasionally the yard shunters for the station and docks. Engines from Duck's branch line and Thomas's branch line stay here on occasion as well. Cleaning and refueling stations are located within and outside of the shed. In my AU, the sheds take on its Railway series appearance, while adapting the TV series colors, as I personally find the TV series colors more appealing. In the 1980s, Andy, who at one point was a visiting diesel, crashed through the back of the shed after failing to pull a mega train out of Tidmouth Yard. This story acts as an incredibly good illustration of how Tidmouth is laid out in my universe. The materials I used for Tidmouth Sheds included 2 identical boxes as well as additional cardboard, some popsicle sticks, masking tape, printer paper decals, Mod Podge, diluted glue water, and paper mache. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves now though. I started off by outlining the shape of the sheds into the boxes with a ruler and pencil. I lined up some take and play track to get an idea of how much space I was working with. From the jump, I knew I wanted to model the sheds in their post-1950s condition, as Rolling Around On Sodor takes place largely in the 1970s and onwards. The big roundhouse itself would have been too large of an endeavor to tackle right now, so I chose to focus on the OG 5-road shed and carriage shed. I quickly got to work cutting the cardboard into a shed shape and using masking tape to reinforce the sides. Popsicle sticks were put in the corners as an initial means of support. I got Tidmouth right here. It's basically done. There are a few cracks, as you can see, but that's okay because the paper mache I'm going to make is going to cover it all. I'm going to use this as a carriage shed. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a hole right here. When it's the carriage shed, it's going to be covered up. Like the door is always going to be closed. In theory, the door, slides for the sake of, distinguishing it from any other shed. The door will always be closed when it's the carriage shed. And then when it's like, for example, Arlesborough Sheds on the Little Western, it will be open and I'll dress it up slightly differently. So yeah, I'm thinking ahead with that. I created a cardboard and masking tape support beam to hold the roof in place in relation to the upper front and back portion of the sheds. I also cut out a roof for the second shed. However, it required a lot less interior support as it was cut in a way that didn't affect the structure too much. Inspired by things I'd seen online and various art classes I'd taken, I decided to incorporate paper mache into the model. This was my first proper time making paper mache for a custom model, and it was actually very easy and fun. My fingers are messy from this glue water, which is actually different from this glue water, which has a different purpose. So the roof is done. I'm going to do both of them like this. I'll do the sides and the inside, and then let it harden overnight. So, cool. As the first few slides of paper mache dried, me and my girlfriend went to Walmart to pick up more apple barrel paints. The shade I used for the sheds was toasted marshmallow for the walls and new shamrock for the doors and windows. I also acquired Admiral Blue and Flamenco Red for Donald and Douglas customs, which are currently stuck in limbo because painting lining is scary. Once both models were fully paper mached, they felt more sturdy right away. I went ahead and primed both of them in standard gray paint. Once that dried, I applied the toasted marshmallow. I believe I only did 2 to 3 coats as I layered it on pretty heavy. Bear in mind, I had 2 marshmallow paints but I only ended up using one for both models. It is also worth noting that the interior of the sheds were painted too. Now onto the fun part. The weathering was accomplished by a combination of watering down black paint and brushing it onto the model. My intention was to make the roof look rusty and steel plated. I also wet my brush with the same black wash and flicked it against the shed. This was done to really sell the look and give it rusty/water damaged spots. I'm not a rust expert, so don't come for me in the comments, alright? I very deliberately chose not to wear the sides as I liked the bright look better. So I'm painting like this paper to use as like a little door for this, because I'm gonna put like a fake door on this side to let it close the door and have this be the open end. This is a really nice shade of green. It matches the bottle, but I want it to be a little darker for the shed because I want to distinguish it from the shade of green I'm gonna use on some of the characters who are green. I like this green because it pops and it looks like a lot of the characters in the illustration. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mix this green with a little bit of black and then paint this. Drawn on lining, and the same flicking method was done to make it look like aged wood. It was Mod Podged onto the model directly. For the carriage shed, I created window assets in MS Paint and printed them out to be in scale with my take-along die-cast trains. I actually colored them in with a marker that coincidentally matched the shade of green I used for the door. I used my finger to smudge in green paint in places where the marker was thinning, and the end result was pretty good. And with that, here it is, Tidmouth Sheds, as it will be depicted in Rolling Around on Sodor. I'm very proud of these two custom models. They are incredibly durable and I love the finish on them. I have to admit though, I'm not sure if Mod Podging the roof was the right call. I feel the rougher look of the unglossed roof looked more crusty and weathered like the steel look I was going for. But hey, I still think it works for what it is. Plus, if I didn't like them, they wouldn't be the background of the videos now, would they? I am really excited to start filming with these one day. And don't you worry, I have full intentions to make the proper roundhouse portion of the shed. All in good time. Thank you for watching. If you like this video and seeing my custom creations, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell to be notified of all future videos, community posts, and live streams. Let me know what customs or videos you'd like to see next from the channel. Once again, visiting hours are over. You don't have to go home, but you really can't stay here.